We stalked Gunther Steiner and got a picture.
That's rad.
Yeah.
I heard him on the radio and I went, this sounds like, and then I went, oh, he's actually there.
Tom, there's like 5 of these, sportscaster guys lined up doing like a bit, and Gunther's one of them. And Tom looks over, he goes, you know how he's new at, you know how to tell he's new at this? And he points down, and all the other guys are wearing like suits with like super comfortable New Balance sneakers, and Gunther's wearing like the fanciest Italian loafers shoes ever. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Blackview dash cams, and boy do they have a mouthful. The DR970 X2 channel LTE. Do that again. The Blackview DR970 X2 channel LTE. They are going to have to come up with some catchy Hellcat-esque names for these things. They just keep tacking on letters. But here's what it means, right? Finding an internet connection can be a struggle, but now the new Blackview DR970 X2 channel LTE dash cam makes it easy for you and your vehicle to stay connected anytime, anywhere. It combines superb 4K ultra high HD image quality with simple LTE connectivity using the built-in SIM card reader. This dual channel Blackview dash cam comes with both front and rear cameras, and the front camera captures every little detail in crisp 4K quality, while the rear camera comes with a full HD Sony Starvis image sensor, ensuring best clarity under any light. The LTE dash cam comes with the free Blackview app, allowing you to connect to your dash cam directly over the cloud. You get impact notifications, watch the live view, and download videos directly to your phone. The Blackview DR970X 2-channel LTE comes with native parking mode, which means it can be hardwired to your vehicle's fuse panel without requiring additional accessories. The dash cam will switch to parking mode automatically when your ignition is turned off. And thanks to the video buffer, the few seconds leading to any triggering event are also recorded. When you pair it with Blackview Cloud, parking mode lets your dash cam save event videos to the cloud in real time, just as they happen. So if your car gets broken into and the camera gets stolen, ripped off the dash or whatever, those videos are saved. The Blackview DR970X 2-channel LTE dash cam also doubles as a Wi-Fi hotspot for up to 5 devices, allowing your passengers to use the internet while on the go. You get the best 4K dash cam protection, the ultimate cloud connectivity, and the convenience of a Wi-Fi hotspot with the DR970X 2-channel LTE. So go to blackview.com/TST. That's BLACKVUE.com/TST. To learn more about the DR970X 2-channel LTE dash cam, use the promo code TIRE to get 10% off any Blackview dash cam or parking mode accessory and free shipping for all orders over $200. Code TIRE, my friends, blackview.com/TST, code TIRE. Also brought to you in part today by Viore. Love my Viore shirts. Wearing one right now as we record this podcast. It is soft. It is breathable. You can wear it to the gym. You can wear it on a podcast. You can wear it with a blazer when you go to a nice sushi dinner in Austin, Texas with Formula One world champions. It's a new perspective on performance apparel. It's perfect if you're sick and tired of traditional old workout gear. Everything is designed to work out in, but it doesn't look or feel like it. It's so comfortable you'll want to wear it all the time. It's very versatile, can be used for any activity from running and training to swimming and yoga, but also great for lounging or weekend errands. It's just awesome. We've got the men's core shirt, which is an amazingly comfortable lined athletic shirt. You could do one pair of shorts for every sport. The Sunday joggers, the official pants of Zach Clapman, also available as shorts. They look like fancy pants, but they're very soft and you can wear them for any athletic activity. And you've got the Strato Fiber t-shirts that I love to wear. I've got 20 of them in my closet. I got rid of all my other t-shirts. I only wear these now. They make sweat disappear. hot day, Texas, racetrack, sweat, gone. You'll never see it. Vuori is an investment in your happiness. And for our listeners, they're offering 20% off your first purchase. So get yourself some of the most comfortable and versatile clothing on the planet at vuori.com/TST. That's VUORI.com/TST. 20% off your first purchase, free shipping on any U.S. orders over $75, and free returns. Go to vuori.com/TST and discover the versatility of Vuori clothing. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about Game Time. Listen, there have only been a few ways to buy tickets to sports and events throughout my entire lifetime. When a new one comes along, it is a big deal. Buying tickets to stuff generally sucks. It's stressful, and it shouldn't be. And now Game Time is here. It's the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you quickly, simply, and easily. And when killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee pop up, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. They've got so much going on in the Game Time app, whether it's concerts, playoff games, and more. They've got flash deals, last-minute tickets to events. It's easy to find and buy tickets for any kind of event in your area. You can pull up the images of the view from your seats. So other apps, they've just got that seating chart on the stadium, but with Game Time, you will know what the view of the stage or the field or the arena or the court will look like from where these seats are. They offer the lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and more. Forget planning months in advance because Game Time has deals on tickets right up until the day of the event. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price, and if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. It's amazing. The tickets are sent directly to your phone. You'll never have to dig through your email. You buy tickets in a matter of seconds, just 2 taps, and you're there. All you got to do is download the Game Time app, create an account, use code SMOKINGTIRE for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, so create an account and redeem code SMOKINGTIRE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Okay, folks, on today's episode of the Smoking Tire Podcast, I went to Austin for the NASCAR race, hung out with my pal Tom Segura, drove his GT3 with the 4.5-liter DeMann engine, talked about what it was like to visit a race at COTA, all the weird things I saw, people I chatted with, creepy stalker photos I took with Gunther Steiner, and more. Also, we talk about nutrition a little bit, and how to fix mine, mainly. And we answer a bunch of excellent sports car questions from the Petreon. It's a crew show on the Smoking Tire Podcast. Hello, hello, hello. It's the Smoking Tire crew show. It's a crew show. Kids, it's a family episode.
Just take it right from
Did you listen to fucking Bert and Leanne on Are You Garbage last week?
It was so fun.
Nobody has been more trash in the fucking history of trash than fucking Deliverance Leanne and New Money fucking Bert Kreischer.
It's so funny.
Unbelievably trash.
Yeah.
2 Rolexes showering in his pool. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I know, man. He's got like some weird habits.
It's extra trash.
That seem trash.
That was like among the best hours of radio I've ever listened to.
Yeah. Their honesty between each other is amazing.
Yeah.
And just makes it magic.
And the AYG guys are going on 2 Bears like next week.
Oh, that'll be really
which will be very, very funny. Hope you all had a good weekend. This show will be fucking timely because I last minute decided to go to Austin for a couple reasons. Hang out with Tom Segura. I got like 3 separate invites from 3 separate people to go like do shit down there.
Wednesday, right?
Yeah, on like 2 days notice. But the week was like kick-started. On Monday, I had my annual physical, and it was awful. Like, awful. Like, I mean, I'm sure regular listeners to this or watchers of our videos will know that I'm not as thin as I was in 2020 or 2021, and that's for like probably a variety of reasons. It's not smoking pot and having more alcohol, which has a cascading effects. And there could be some like hormonal things going on. Workouts different. I have 3 jobs instead of the 1 job I had in 2020. But the physical, let's just say, wasn't good. The numbers, my doctor said to me, whatever you're doing is wrong. That's what he said. And you've been to this doctor, so you know. Didn't you go?
I didn't. I went to his predecessor.
Oh, but you didn't go to the person who took over? Okay.
No.
Well, this guy is not like a comic like the last one was, but he's very nice and to the point. And familiar with our work, by the way. He watches our car videos. And he goes, look, if I was looking at these numbers and I didn't know that you were 41, these are the numbers of like a 55-year-old. And I was like, oh, well, I would like to kill myself now. Great. And so that was extremely shitty. Sent me into a deep depression.
Yes.
Which you may have gotten a little hint of on the ACP episode, because I recorded that a couple hours after.
I came in a few hours after and I was like, something's wrong.
Yeah, that was wrong.
Wrong.
That was wrong.
Yeah.
And so then right at that was the time that was going on, Segura was like, so you coming to Austin for the thing? And I was like, man, like, I don't know. And he's like, but you said we were going to go. And I was like, yeah, like a month ago. And then I didn't hear from you about it. And he's like, let's fucking go. Don't be a bitch. I'm like, all right. And he's, he does 250 nights a year of stand-up all over the world. And the last year he's lost 55 pounds. And I was like, well, this is a guy I need to go talk to about how to set my shit up to be healthy while being having a crazy schedule. So I said, I was I'm going to come, but I want to drive your GT3 4.5 and make a video so I can pay for this fucking trip. And I want to talk to you about your regimen. He's like, yeah, of course, no problem. And then at the same time, Maz from Singer was like, hey, you coming to Austin? Me and Jenson and the team are going to go get sushi and at this fucking amazing like omakase place, and you should come. And I was like, can I bring Segura? And he's like, oh yeah, cool. So like it was like it all kind of like Tetrised into each other.
It's a good table.
Yeah, it was a fun table. And Segura didn't immediately put it together who like Jenson was. And he figured out halfway through the dinner that he was like, oh, I had to do jokes about you on Fox yesterday. He was like, they had me do like a John Gerard joke, and it was like about you.
Oh, did he do a live spot on Fox Sports or something like that?
Okay. So anyway, successful in all the endeavors. And the other thing was, I decided after that doctor's appointment that the drinking has to be done. Like, not like forever, like, 12-step situation, but like, I can't have one. If I touch it, it turns into 5.
Right, because that brings down the like willpower of everything.
And then you eat more.
Right, totally.
I don't know about you.
No,
I do that. I eat more.
I absolutely can get the drunk munchies.
Yes.
For sure.
And I never got weed munchies, but I got drunk munchies. And so I haven't had any alcohol in a week, but like, which if I was just sitting at home, that wouldn't be that hard. I'm not a sit at home and drink by myself kind of guy, which is how I know I'm not really an alcoholic. But like to go to...
Oh, you didn't drink in Austin?
Nothing. Nice. Not a drop. I went to a dinner with all those guys. They ordered like 75 bottles of sake.
Did Tom drink?
A little bit, but I told him what I was doing, and he did not... He had like a beer.
He doesn't seem to drink much anyway.
He doesn't drink that much.
That's a good like he's a great influence.
Yeah.
Just top to bottom.
He doesn't drink that much.
Did Jenson drink? That'd be
yes.
Funny.
This was not the night before the race. It was 2 nights before the race.
Okay.
But yeah, he did.
All right, that's fine.
He didn't like
Night
get
before.
shithoused, but like he did drink.
Yeah.
And so giant sushi night, tons of sake, didn't touch it. The next day, I had a dinner with Alanis and Bozy and a few of their like pit crew friends at a fucking bourbon bar. Didn't touch it. Went back to my hotel room at 8 p.m., which was like half a block from 6th Street. By myself, watched TV, went to bed, didn't touch it. NASCAR race, VIP suite, open bar, no alcohol. And then my flight home was delayed by 6 hours, which I spent in the Delta Lounge staring, and I didn't touch alcohol. So I was like, it's not just not drinking it. I was put in some fucking pressurized situations to say no to booze, and I didn't. But I was around.
But how did you find those like interactions? Because I have reduced my drinking a lot since listening to Daniel Huberman's podcast Andrew Huberman, like about sleep and all these things it affects.
Yeah.
And I have social anxiety, and so I would go and hang out with like journalists or something, and I would want like one to take the edge down.
Yeah.
And when I've stopped doing that, it's almost like doing a podcast. Like we don't really drink on the podcast. So it's just like once I realized I could get through those things and still have fun, it went, oh, okay, like it wasn't actually doing that much. For me, you know?
I mean, I think that if I was with fucking Bert and not Tom, different story.
Totally different story.
But
and
like,
I would probably drink like a fiend with them too, because it's like a when in Rome situation.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's all the little ones where it doesn't really matter, and I've looked back and gone, it didn't really do anything for that night.
Well, the one like when we went to fucking Nitro Rallycross and drank that disgusting pink
gross.
shit.
Yeah, Smirnoff.
Halfway through that, I was like, this is 100% wasted calories. I drank it because it was there. I had a ticket. It was free. And that was the last drink I had.
Yeah.
I haven't had to touch anything since then. And so it kind of like, you know, small victories, I guess. But like, I think it's like I realized I enjoyed being around people and talking and whatever. I ate less at sushi. I ate less at the restaurant. I ate less at the Delta Lounge waiting for my flight for 6 hours. I was like, have a meal and don't have any other snacks. And I was able to do it. And I realized that like, there's nothing new about drinking. And it's like weed, same thing. There was nothing left that was new about weed. And it's not really serving me. And the negative externalities of it, such as gaining weight, make me very, very sad. And so, like, not never, but not today. And, like, that's kind of where we're at. And I saw a nutritionist today. I'm getting hormones checked, the hormone levels checked.
Cool.
Tom gave me some really good strategies to work on, and
that's good. Because it's funny, like, I love listening to the shows he does with Bert, because every month or so, Bert will just, like, comment on how fit Tom looks and be like, what are you doing? You're, like, eating clean and shit? And Tom's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And Bert's like, God damn it, I knew it. And it's so funny, because every month he wants the answer to be different, and it's not. And it's just, it's I don't know why that makes me laugh. Like,
well,
Bert
it's just like the difference between like, I'm trying to eat healthy and like actually planning it and really putting thought into it. And like the nutritionist, I told her like everything I ate, and she's like, you're not even eating that bad. You're eating in like the wrong order. Like I'm having too many carbs in the morning and then like protein like later in the day. She's like, you need to like reverse that.
Yeah.
You know, and I said like I'm having oat milk, and she's like, get the fuck rid of the oat milk. She's like, it sounds healthy. You get it at Whole Foods. It's basically liquid sugar.
Oh yeah, well if you get it the sweetened one, it is.
Yeah.
So and there's two versions, but they sell a lot more of the sweetened one.
Yeah, and so just stuff, stuff like that. And when you're like 41 in your 40s, like it's a pretty fine line between up and down, and like. You don't get fat overnight. You don't get skinny overnight. Like, my doctor was like, look, here's the line. Here's 2020, 2021, 20. He's like, you gained 12, 13 pounds a year for 3 years. He's like, a pound a month, it's only like, you eat 100 calories extra a day. He's like, that's not that much.
Right.
That's like one bite of something too much. Or like one splash of this, or one glass of wine, or one, like, it's really easy to have an extra 100 calories a day.
Yeah. Because I think 1 pound of fat is 3,500 calories or something like that. So if you eat 100 over for a month, at the end of the month, you've gained a pound.
Yeah, like it's not about like binging or like fucking fiending cakes or anything like that. It's just like you eat like 5% too much at every meal, and you're doing this things in the wrong order, so your body's not burning it even though you work out like every fucking day. Like, to gain 12 pounds a year while working out as much as I work out, like, that is poor strategy. That's not lack of effort. It's just like the brain power is not being applied properly here. So anyway, filmed Tom's car, talked to him about fitness, saw some friends, saw a fun race. You know, good times all around.
The race was, I watched both Saturday and Sunday because Parker raced 2 races Saturday.
Yeah, that's
he's a
crazy.
psychopath.
That's fucking crazy. I can't believe he did that.
And
he must have lost 20 pounds in water weight.
He tracks it, and he said, let's see, the last race he lost it was like 4,800 calories in a day that he burned just from racing.
That's wild.
It's nuts.
Jenson said he had to come in.
I saw that.
And drink water and get fucking ice thrown on him.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild. Like, he's a fit guy.
Yeah. But it's so hot in those cars, even though it wasn't, I don't know, what was the ambient temperature there? Like 70s in the sun?
Texas, it turns. You know, when we got to the track at 11 a.m., it was probably 63, 64 degrees. By green flag, which was at 2:40 p.m., it's probably 84.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, it was enormously different. And in between, there was a wave of humid. It was lovely morning, humid, crush, and then just heat.
Right.
It was intense.
And in the cars, it's 130, 140. Yeah. So if you're not accustomed to that, even if you're fit, I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to deal with.
Yeah. But Jenson did well, though. He passed 5 cars on the last lap.
Wow.
You know, he qualified 24th. We saw him Friday night. They had practice on Friday. I was like, what do you think? He's like, I did 13 laps. And I was like, yeah. He's like, that's my first 13 laps I've ever driven this car. And I was like, oh, really? He's like, I got to qualify this thing tomorrow.
Getting used to this 4,000-pound car.
Yeah, and he qualified 24th or something.
Mm-hmm. Him and Kimi, I think, qualified
pretty close to each other.
Really close to each
and he
other.
said Kimi hit him a few times during the race too.
A lot of people hit a lot of people during the race.
It was a crashy race.
It was a very crashy race.
It was a crashy race. And I mean, some real liberties with the curbings.
I wrote a comment to Bozy. I'm watching the race, and I'm just like, there are 4 wheels over here, 4 wheels over the paint there. And I'm like, do they just not care as much? And I swear I posted, and then the commenters said, as if they'd read my tweet. They were like, people might be wondering why, they use a lot more of the curbing during NASCAR than F1 at COTA. And it's just, the rules are literally different. You don't get these penalties where, hey, you're 4 wheels over twice, now you're getting penalized, now you're coming into the pit. So they basically said, for the whole track, you're allowed to get, I think 2 wheels X number of feet over, except the S's. Mm-hmm. So it's in this section, you can't do that.
Because
the rest of the time,
you could gain so much.
If you shot them straight, yeah.
Right. You could straight line them, and you get a real advantage, whereas in a lot of the other corners, like the 2 hairpins, going much wider doesn't really give you that much of an advantage. You could be forced out that way with the traffic, and it's not necessarily, if you were driving the course by yourself, that's not the fastest line to be over there.
Right,
Whereas
right.
if you straight lined the S's or really cut them, that would be the fastest line. So that's why they said not to do that. But the first couple green laps, are the suite we were in is on the front straight. It was right on fucking start finish. It was boss. Tom's hookup was excellent. And shout out to Dan. Dan was our guide for the for the race, and we had a golf cart, and we had 100% access to anything, whatever. We had 75 wristbands and lanyards. Tom was like, "Do we need all this? Isn't there just one?" And he's like, "Eh."
There's a life alert thrown in there for fun. Yeah,
yeah. It was wild, but they go by on the front straight, and then across from the suite there was a jumbotron, and you could watch the rest of it. So the first 2 laps, Tom was like, they're not even on the track.
Dude, turn 1 was so aggressive. The gray apron, they were 4 wide. They were 4 wide, using the whole apron, trying to come back on. It was really crazy to watch it, man. The helicopter footage from streaming, you were just like, how? That's when I went, what are the rules? Yeah. And then I learned the rules. All right, then everybody just do it. Yeah.
It was pretty nuts. And yellow flags, it's one thing on a speedway, or you think they lasted a long time at the Clash. 3.4 mile track, you know, and they're driving it at 60, 70 miles an hour during the cautions. It was like you could read a book, you know.
I saw a lot of commercial breaks.
There was a lot. Yeah, there was a lot. But, you know, our suite looked right down on the pit boxes, so you got a great angle for the tire changes and stuff. That was pretty cool. And the entire cast of Super Troopers was in our suite, which was awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
I you know how hard I resisted fucking shouting lines,
of course.
They were very, very nice. And I mean, you know, they're not like super huge celebrities like now, but so they were fucking chill as can be. It was great. I talked to Jay Chandrasekhar, the Indian dude, for like a minute, and he was very, very, very nice.
He's really funny.
Yeah. And it was a great time. I mean, we fucking nerded out on semi trucks for like half an hour. Like, I don't know why we were like walking in like along these semi trucks, just like, look at this one. Is that one on bags? There was some of them were on fucking full on. I mean, I know semis are on bags, but some of them were slammed on bags, which was pretty dope.
They drop it to the ground so they can roll the stuff out, probably.
I guess, yeah. I'm not really sure the reason, but like a bunch of them were fucking dropped.
Dude, it's cool. The racing when it was happening, because there were a lot of cautions, but it's like, I mean, it is our V8 supercars, but the amount of input these guys had put on the wheel, like counter steering.
Sure.
Watching, I think, AJ Allmendinger when he was running Xfinity Series, he was counter steering like every corner constantly, just little managements. It's just so much power and so much slip as the tires go. It's
I'd
really
love to
wild.
watch Jenson's in-car.
Yeah.
Because in Formula One, he was really smooth. One in, one out. He did not make a ton of little corrections like, you know, Senna would have. He was really one in, one out, not overdriving the car. But I didn't see any in-car from him. So I'd really like to see what that in-car looked like if he could do the same thing in a NASCAR.
It seemed like, I mean, because in the race on Saturday, they were focusing on basically like the 1 and 2 people for after a while. It kind of got spread out. The field got real spread out. But AJ was pretty busy in the car. Like smooth, there was intention, but he was going the fastest by like a second, and he was managing the wheel. It was nuts. We stalked Gunther Steiner and got a picture. That's rad.
Yeah.
I heard him on the radio and I went, this sounds like, and then I went, oh, he's actually there.
Tom, there's like 5 of these, you know, sportscaster guys lined up doing like a bit, and Gunther's one of them. And Tom looks over, he goes, you know how he's new at, you know how to tell he's new at this? And he points down, and all the other guys are wearing like suits with like super comfortable New Balance sneakers, and Gunther's wearing like the fanciest Italian loafers shoes ever. He's like, he hasn't been at a track on his feet all day before. He's like, he doesn't know to do that.
I mean, he has, but I guess maybe
he has, but he probably wears sneakers for fucking F1.
Yeah,
he doesn't
and now
wear,
he's like, I'm hosting.
A suit.
What if they show my feet?
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But you know, COTA is a cool place to see a NASCAR race. I expected it to be a much bigger shit show than it was. Like, there's a lot of people. I mean, there's like 50,000 people or whatever there, but it's a very big facility and it's well laid out, and there's lots of like parking and facilities and whatever. And so compared to a Daytona or a Talladega or a super speedway race where it's all kind of contained, it was much, there's an infield and an outfield, and there's all these sort of different like areas, and it was cool. It's a good place. I mean, I recommend going to check out that race.
Cool.
Yeah,
it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch. What was I going to say?
Shout out to NASCAR for my VIP pass.
Did you go on that zip line thing? What was that?
It's a zip line.
But like a powered zip line?
They pulled you up to this top of this really tall pole, and then they fucking zinged you back, and then it had like a hydraulic arresting thing, almost like a mini version of an aircraft carrier hook. And me and Tom looked at it and we're like, we kind of want to go on the zip line. And our guide, was like, for real? And we're like, why? Is it stupid? He's like, no, but like, I've never had a VIP client ask to go on the zip line before.
Wow.
He's like, usually they just want to sit in the box and whatever. He's like, but if you guys want to go, like, let's fucking go. So he was like, I don't know how bad the line will be or whatever. We're like, we're not doing, the race doesn't start for 2 hours. What are we doing? Like, let's go. So he drives us over there in the golf cart. There was one person in front of us in line, and we're like, and I said to the lady, I was like, half joking, you know, because it's on steel cables. Mm-hmm. I'm like, is there a weight limit on this thing? Because there's the shine shows, you know, you must be this tall to ride. And she goes, yeah, you know, 375 for one and 450 for two. And I'm like, Tom, what are you right now? And remember where my head was with a fucking doctor.
Right.
And so I go, Tom, what are you right now? He goes, 205. And I go, I think we're a little over, ma'am. And she goes, oh, so do you want to go anyway? Like, and I was like, I don't think that's the point of a weight limit. And she goes, yeah, but like people have been doing it. And I go, why are you letting people do it? She goes, I don't want to have that like rude conversation with people. I go, I totally understand that.
Let's tell you what conversation
but put
is
a
more
sign.
awkward.
If you don't want to have the conversation, just put a sign next to the height thing that says like max whatever.
You know what conversation's more awkward is, I'm so sorry the cable broke. The ambulance will be here in a moment. That conversation's far worse.
And what you do, well, it's on mute, so you can't hear it. You can't hear it, but it's Tom hits the thing and just goes way fucking scarier than I thought.
So
and it's actually not scary coming down. They pull you up in reverse. So the going up is kind of
scary
creepy.
part?
Yeah, it's pretty creepy. I definitely held on.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure we could have gone. We wanted to go together. We thought that would have been a funny like video, but the weight thing scared
I mean, I'm
both
sure
of
there's
us.
the limit, and then there's like the actual limit.
Yeah.
And there's got to be a cushion.
Oh, of course
you know?
there's a gap,
Yeah.
but
you don't want to test
all I could think of was comedian Tom Segura and friend
Right.
killed in a tragic accident. It's like, I'm going to be the
That's
guy.
you. You're
Yeah.
the friend. Yeah. Yeah.
And then one of the motorsports photographers were down there, asked to get a picture of us, and I go, you bet. I go, when you post this on your motorsports website, you got to put Matt Farah and friend, please. And he was like, I got you. So, but a good time was had.
Heck yeah.
A good time was had. Yeah, yeah. It was super fun. It like. I don't. Not to like. This is gonna sound elitist and snobby, but those types of things are fun. But when you have like access and you've got like all the VIP shit, it does make everything like, because you got really comfortable. The COTA is like such a nice track. Those VIP suites are sick.
Really?
The booths are sick. The food was awesome. Like inside the suite, it does not look like you're at a like. It looked like you're at a French bistro up there
Wow.
or something. Yeah, it was really, really nice.
Upscale. Very
Richard
cool.
Petty looks like a cartoon. You know, because he's older, so his body is shrinking.
But the hat's not.
The hat, same size it's
Same
always
hat.
been. He looks like Speedy Gonzalez in that motherfucker
Right.
now.
Yeah. Well, he's a legend, but yes, that's true.
I literally walked right into Lance Armstrong. Like, I was having a conversation with Maz from Singer about, there's something called like Legends Motor Club or something. I think it's a car storage place down there. And I was like, what's Legends Motor Club, man? He's like, I don't know, I think it's a car storage place. I'm walking, and I smash into a guy. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Oh, you're good. And he's wearing a lanyard that says Legends Motor Club or whatever it was. And I was about to turn around and go, hey, man, what's Legends? Oh, shit, that's Lance Armstrong. I just fucking bumped into it and didn't bother. Yeah, that was NASCAR. I was down there, might as well. There's more. I'm not going to give away. It's not like the embargo. With Tom's GT3, so he got the 4.5, the DeMann motor. Mm-hmm. He had a Cayman GT4, basically identical to my Spyder, but with a roof. Except he got some exhaust setup that I asked for the quiet exhaust. That's how I ended up with the exhaust I have that I think is perfect. I made what I believe is the right call. Tom's car's loud.
Mm-hmm, okay.
Not the GT3. His GT4 is loud. So his has something different. I don't know what it is. He doesn't know what it is.
Wait, his GT4, did he get RS? Or
No, he has a GT4 4.5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he sent that and he has two DeMann engines.
That's why my brain got confused.
Right.
Okay.
He first saw my video and then sent his GT4, which is shark blue, to DeMann for the 4.5. My Spyder followed it by like 3 months. He didn't make any specific requests. I requested quiet for my car. He got his back, and I was like, what exhaust is on yours? He's like, I have no fucking clue. But it's loud.
he got the one.
It's louder than my car.
DeMann's
I'm
choice.
guessing it's probably the same cats and overpipes, but with some type of a Kropovich or some other muffler, because I have the stock muffler. His is fucking loud, which he likes, but it's louder than mine. So he then got this GT3, which the story of how he ended up with this GT3 is pretty funny. It's in the video. I won't give it away. You should watch the video because it's got Tommy in it, and he's great. But what's really interesting is, you know, the GT4 motor and the GT3 motor are both 4 liters. They both get punched out to 4.5 at DeMann, but the essential characters of the motors are different from the factory, and that carries over to the conversion.
Okay.
So they don't end up the same.
Wow.
So, and remember, Mitch from M Engineering tunes the GT3 one. It's apparently much harder to tune. Its GT3-ness makes it much harder to tune than the GT4 one.
Just the computer itself.
The computer itself, and I'd love to, next time Mitch is in town, have him back on to talk about specifically what makes it different. But he texted me about it, and he was like, it's a bitch. He's like, it's not easy, whereas the GT4 one is, and the Spyder one is much easier. The cam timing, or I don't know. I probably couldn't even describe it if I wanted to. It's different. It's harder. Also, GT3 motor is set up for revs, right? Stock for stock, same thing. It's really, you know, we drove the GT3. It's really set up for top end revs. Nothing happens below $6,000.
Right.
So, my motor and Tom's GT4 motor is 568 horsepower, 450 torque. Okay, that's based on the 4-liter GT4 motor. The GT3 motor, 591 horsepower, so plus 27, right? Yeah, plus 27, 28.
Plus 23.
23.
568 to 591.
568 to 591.
23.
Plus 23 versus that. But 427 torque, so minus 23. So it makes more power, but it takes it from the torque.
Wow.
So that's interesting, right?
Yeah.
And same deal, the Boostane, you know, the whole thing, it needs it. So it's like plus 85 on both curves from stock in the GT3. But my car's like plus 150 from stock. So the chain, and you re-gear it.
So the change is more noticeable.
We re-gear the GT4, the GT3 not re-geared. So the difference in power is substantial, but it's not as much as the GT4, and the gearing isn't changed. And this GT3 is a PDK, actually. So the reality is it makes the GT3, and this is Tom's daily driver in Austin. It's got comfort seats. It's really like a comfort spec car, as a touring should be. And the roads are pretty good down there. So it's a pretty nice daily.
But it just has this ballistic engine now.
Yeah, but it's got a lot more shove in the mid-range from 4 to 6. It's still down to the bottom. It still doesn't have very much. But instead of starting at 6, it now really punches at 4. So it does become more usable. It sounds great, but it doesn't sound anything like my engine. So what Rick DeMann said is, because the GT4 and the Spyder have a split muffler, that's because of the car's mid-engine and the way the gearbox is mounted and whatever. So that, you know how my car sounds like an old warplane?
Yeah.
That's because you're hearing 2 synced 3-cylinder banks, but completely separate exhausts, one for each side.
Okay.
The GT3 comes together at the muffler. So it sounds more like a regular Porsche. It's louder by a little. It's bassier by a little, but it's not, you wouldn't immediately hear it and go, well, that engine's
different.
That engine is different.
It's a GT3 with exhaust.
Yeah. It doesn't sound way different. Still very cool.
Can he get 100 octane there, and so he doesn't have to use the Boostane, or?
You know, I suck Rick DeMann's dick pretty good, and deservedly so, because the man builds a hell of an engine. But I'm going to throw him under the bus right now. Tom learned about 100 octane like last week. He's been driving these cars around. Rick forgot to tell him.
Oh, okay.
According to Tom.
Okay.
Rick forgot to tell him. Now, Tom doesn't drive the cars that hard, so it hasn't been a problem. And I don't know what would happen. Nothing has happened so far.
Well, and does the computer have something that it adjusts automatically so it just makes less power?
It might.
Okay.
But he took the GT4 to a track day without the 100
regular 93?
Yeah, with 93 in it. I don't know. I'm not saying you should do that. Rick's not saying you should do that. But I had to teach Tom how to do the butane thing. I was like, what? And we were going to spend 2.5 hours filming it. But when I found this out, I was like, we need to go to an auto parts store right now and get octane boost. I was like, we can't. I'm not going to be the guy who's driving your car and fucking blows this motor because you've got pump gas in it. So, and I was like, whatever time we were going to spend filming, it's more important that you learn about this process. And he's like, okay, wait, so I have to do what? And I was like, all right.
I have to buy gasoline besides the gasoline.
Yeah, it's not, I was like, you order the stuff, and I told him to do what I do. I was like, but for today, we got to go buy a bottle of this stuff and pour it in. So we did, but Rick forgot to tell him. And he was like, yeah, I learned about this now.
Oh my God.
So which is weird because Rick with me was pretty, either he thinks I'm going to drive the car much harder than Tom, and so maybe it's a concern, or I'm making more of a thing about the car than Tom is, so maybe it's that. But I don't know, I can be trusted to do this. Why are you so worried about me? Don't tell him. So yeah, so now he knows. Now he's got the boost.
Did he notice a difference at all, or not really?
No, because he was still in break-in.
Okay.
So we didn't really get to romp on it because the car is still in break-in, and so I didn't want to beat the shit out of it. I just wanted to get a little taste. It was worth it to get a taste, just to see what it's about, and I think that I from the taste I got, and you'll see it in the video, that we understand what the character of the car is, and it's great because Tom owns a GT4, I didn't have to compare it to my car.
Totally.
I could compare it to the other one he already owns.
Yeah,
so
he owns both the apples and the oranges.
Yeah, so he's able to talk about the differences too, and without it being mine versus yours, which was great. I mean, there's nobody better to have that conversation with than someone who actually owns both cars.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like doing a comparison test, but without having the other car there. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was fun. He was a very good sport, and the video will be up soon, and it was nice to have a little go and spend the time. So yeah, that's the GT3. But I think if you're gonna it's a little more expensive to do the GT3 engine. Also, it makes the car better, but it's not.
It's not transformative of the character.
We both agreed that the Spyder or GT4 with the short gears in a stick and that motor is the most exciting car that money can buy right now.
Do you think if you shorten the gearing on this, it would have that same effect, or no?
It's already pretty short. Yeah.
Especially with PDK versus your 6-speed.
Yeah. It's just that the motor itself is designed for this high RPM operation, so you really need to be going fucking fast to get there. Sorry. You're even second gear above 6, and you're going 70.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah, it's just how the car is. So whereas you can really get that explosive torque, in second gear, 4,000 RPM. In my car, you're going 40.
I want to see what the final drive is of the GT3, because maybe
the RS has different. The RS has different ratios from the regular GT3.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can just, instead of shortening, all the gears in the trans, you could just shorten the final drive.
Yeah.
And that might change it a little bit.
Maybe, yeah.
All right, well, Porsche
still a cool car and a cool.
Oh, here we go, 419. So GT3 with touring is a 419 rear gear.
Okay.
Final drive.
Can you see what the GT3 RS is? Mm-hmm. I don't remember if they said they did. If they changed individual gears in the RS or just the final drive, though. I don't remember. No, I didn't. Did I make notes? I don't know if I made notes. GT3 RS. I don't think I made notes because I was on the launch.
This says... I just want to make sure this is right.
No, I didn't.
Wait.
Huh.
Well, this says 342, but this says PDK and manual, so that's the wrong technical briefing.
Yeah,
obviously.
Might have been an older car. Might have been a 6-speed car.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know. Someone will
put it in the comments.
Leave a comment in the comments, not in the DMs. Please.
Right, correct.
So yeah, Texas went well, and as you can see, as evidenced on my Instagram, I did work. Tax man, it was a work trip. I didn't hang out with friends and go to a race. I gathered content.
We're also talking about the NASCAR race 100%. On the show.
Gathered content. Oh, speaking of content, let's get to the consumer advice portion of the show. I mean, I already kind of knew some of the ways that poor people stay poor, and here's another one. Normally, I am. Is
this advice to keep them poor, or is this advice?
No. Here's advice to try and avoid falling into a potential trap. Normally, I am, when I travel, an enterprise man. I like to rent cars from Enterprise. I find they have a decent balance of car quality versus price. They're typically a little cheaper than Hertz, and the cars are pretty good. And normally when we rent cars, someone else is paying for it, so I'm not concerned about the nickels and the dimes. But this was a last-minute trip. Enterprise, Hertz, the Primos, major rental agencies, sold out. So I got a car from Thrifty. Mm-hmm. Thrifty, if you don't know, is a subsidiary of Hertz. They literally use Hertz's cars. So when you go to the Thrifty desk at Austin Bergstrom Airport and you have reserved a midsize, they go, your car is in the Hertz slot in space number 205. But man, do they find ways to fuck you. Like, in this case, it was all that was available, but it was probably cheaper than whatever Enterprise and Hertz were offering also, right? But this place was nickel and dimed to fucking high heaven. It was, and I have, Amex insurance. I have comprehensive coverage on my regular car insurance, which covers car accidents. But they're like, you're responsible for the tires. You're responsible for the maintenance of the vehicle. I mean, I only had it for 3 days.
Did you get a timing belt put in?
I was doing oil changes. Yeah. This is probably just standard. They're like, if you get into an accident and even if your insurance covers it, we bill you the full day rate for loss of use.
Ooh.
Like, dude,
that's bad.
it was like thing after thing after thing after thing. And there was a self-assessment damage form that I had to fill out. Like normally, like an Enterprise, they walk around with a tablet and you just go here and here and they just tap, tap, tap. This one was like a 3-layered thing where the carbon copy gets ripped off.
It's like when you get a U-Haul and you have to circle the little thing. Yeah,
and they were really looking at the damages.
Wow, you pointed out this broken window, sir? Jeez.
It was and it was one of those things where it was like, if you don't pay up for whatever the 15-20% premium for rental or with Hertz or Enterprise, and you can only afford this lower tier of rental cars, but something happens, you could end up getting so fucked.
The day rate, especially if, I don't know if they charge you
and by the way, it was
$430
for 3 days with this car.
That's a lot, yeah. Mm-hmm. $150 a day, rough, almost. Wow. But if they charge you every day that the car is not in use,
which is something that's completely out of your control.
Right.
And it's not like they're motivated to make that process go faster.
Right. Because they're making the same money without having to actually rent the car.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild. And by the way, this car was a shit box. Talk about your, Tom was like, when I pulled up to his house and we got in this, he's like, wait till we drive this for 2 hours and you get back in that Altima. He's like, you're going to really enjoy the rest of your day. I'm like, yeah. Credit to the Altima. I drove it around for 3.5 days, 1.2 gallons of gas.
Nice. So sufficient.
It sipped. Like the needle didn't even come off full. I almost just brought it back.
Does it ride soft and just float?
For transportation, dynamically was fine, although the CVT was mega lazy. For only having 20,000 miles on it, though, the seat was pretty blown out. The seat was a little to the left.
Wow.
The negative lumbar support, just totally collapsed in. No CarPlay. Not great. Not great. Hubcaps, Not even alloy
alloys?
wheels. No alloys. Hubcaps. It got the job done. It was fine ultimately, but like not good. But I was really shocked at like the ways that like Thrifty could fuck you on this. Compare that to my recent Chrysler 300 experience at Enterprise, in which I did nothing special. Just rented the car, declined all coverage, nothing. Got 2 flat tires, went to Firestone, and they're like, "Yep, we build it back to Enterprise. Have a nice day."
Yeah.
Not a dime out of.
You would have had to pay for both of those.
Yeah, would have had to pay for those tires. Like not a dime out of pocket. So like, I mean, that's just, you know, if I had rented to save a few dollars, I could have ended up spending $200 extra on tires.
Yeah.
So it's just like, wow, that's how they fucking get you.
The hidden cost of things. If it's cheaper, but it's not always cheaper.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Because it's like, Hertz cars are expensive. They're the most expensive ones out there. It's just like all the prices are even in a way.
Yeah,
you know?
and these are Hertz cars.
Right. That's weird. I wonder how they decide, like, we're not going to rent that to Hertz anymore. We're going to rent that one to Thrifty. You know, they
maybe
say
once
Hertz
they
is out of
cross
cars.
like 10,000 miles. Yeah, right. Like when she tried to say this, I was like, can I just go over to the Hertz counter and just do this like through them? And they're like, nope. It's crazy. It was
weird.
so weird. Yeah, super, super weird. But anyway, maybe I'm showing my privilege because I've never had to rent from one of those agencies before, and I've always been privileged enough to rent from an Enterprise or a Hertz. And so, yeah, if I'm showing my privilege here and everyone else is listening and going, yeah, idiot, that's how this shit works, and you're just too insulated and stupid to know, then okay, I've learned my lesson. But like, wow, it was an eye-opener.
Yeah, and people have to be careful because they might be signing a thing and they don't realize how much is hidden in it.
Yeah.
And that's a really scary thing.
And
It's
then
like
I
credit card rates.
I went to
stuff
return
like
the
that.
car at the airport, and like they're just like, yeah, put it over there. And I was like, can we go over the thing? And they're like, what do you mean? I was like, this scary looking form,
This
can we go over it?
Constitution, I'd like you to read it.
And the dude was like, homie, nobody cares.
Then they're going to charge you for 4 missing doors later.
And I was like, I don't want to get fucked on this deal. I was like, I have the worst rental agreement I've ever seen with this thing.
Yeah.
And I took a picture of the form just to be sure. And he's like, unless this thing is like literally smashed, he's like, we don't care. And I was like, all right.
I would still take photos of it when you drop it off.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah. And I did not get charged for anything. I got my receipt. It's fine. But like, oof, scary stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Well, so that was my trip to Texas. We can save There Are No Accidents to next time because we got a lot of questions. I finished a book on this trip. I can't recommend it highly enough. There Are No Accidents by Jesse Singer. I will give a book report on Thursday. And before we get to the questions, if I said it last week, and I realized it was the pro show, so not everybody gets to hear it. Air Water is the new expansion series by Luftgekuhlt. It is the 2 days in San Francisco, April 29th and 30th. Luftgekuhlt is April 29th, and Zach and I will be doing a live Smoke and Tire podcast. Is it Vallejo or Vallejo?
I think Vallejo.
Vallejo? V-A-L-L-E-J-O.
Some people said Vallejo when I was a kid, but it's 2 L's, which I think would be like Vallejo.
I think so.
Like Valle or something.
Yeah. So it's north of San Francisco, Saturday, April 29th, Luft 9, Mare Island. Get your tickets. Zach and I will be doing a live Smoke and Tire podcast in the early afternoon. I don't know exactly what time, but we're doing that. And then the following day, click on Air Water at the top right of that page. Yeah. The following day, for the first time ever, Air Water, which is the water-cooled Luft. For the first time, strawberry shortcake will be on display along with a couple hundred other exceptional, fun-colored, and
water-cooled
cars.
Bring in
yeah,
the
because
modern
Pat Long
stuff.
and Zwart and all them guys and Howie were like, the parking lot at Luft, just the parking lot is like a GT3 show.
Totally.
And so like we should do something for that. Which
Yeah,
makes
the
sense.
parking lot of the one down in San Pedro or whatever, like had a lot of really rad cars there that were water cooled and weren't allowed in. But
Right.
you walk around like, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was actually the whole Porsche parking lot across the street.
Yeah.
That was a car show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they decided to do that. So April 29th and 30th, Luft 9 the 29th, Air Water the 30th. Zach and I will be at both.
Yeah, yeah. Have they both like Pat Long's racing career was built on the water-cooled cars, right? Was Zwartz also all the Pikes Peak cars, or did he do
No,
air-cooled?
He raced a 964.
964, and
yeah,
then
he
he
raced a
graduated to like the
964, and then the
GT2
next
stuff.
one was a 996.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
GT3 and then GT2.
I mean, he might have done some vintage racing before that, but his first like factory supported year was a 964 in 1994, maybe.
So
I don't know
Pikes
if
is
he ever
still
had a
dirt.
993.
Yeah.
He might have gone straight to 996, but yeah, he did some racing. Pat's has raced at like historics and stuff in air-cooled cars.
Oh, right, but I meant like he built his professional winning career in air-cooled cars.
996s, I think, is where he started. Yeah. He'll probably be on the podcast when we do that show.
He's fun.
Yeah, he's great. Okay, the questions. The Patreon is open. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Get your questions in. Check out the show live. Get the show early. Get the show without ads. Get our car review videos without ads. It is all on the Patreon. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Okay. I have not previewed these, so we're going to do them in real time. Andrew Stone says, what brands have the best dealership experience, and do any brands stand out compared to their price point? Well, I haven't shopped at all brands, but, I mean, Lexus is exceptional. The Lexus dealer where my parents grew up, where I grew up, where my parents live in Greenwich, Connecticut, is unbelievable. The service department was open till like 10 o'clock at night. You could pick up your car real late. Tons of loaners, quality loaner cars, great customer service. I've always been a fan of Lexus's dealer experience. Porsche is pretty good. I don't have any complaints about Porsche. I like the sales experience at all the Galpin stores. I think they do a great job training their salespeople, especially the high-end brands. Like if you get an Aston or something from Galpin, it's like a pretty special experience. I've never really experienced anything like a Pagani or a Koenigsegg dealer. I imagine it's probably pretty awesome.
I think you just meet Pagani or
Horatio,
Koenigsegg.
Horatio just shows up. Hello.
You meet the person with the last name on the building.
Right.
And they're like,
right.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in terms of like regular but premium cars, Lexus is outstanding to me. And I've been a little disappointed with like Range Rover and Jaguar is like, guys, come on. Range Rover is like their Range Rover dealerships, Land Rover dealerships are not good.
Like they don't try, or that kind of attitude.
Yeah, they're not the product. It doesn't need their help to move, and they don't.
They know it.
They know it.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Lucas says, okay, hypothetical watch question. Here's my brief. It is 1993. A man in his mid-40s walks into Ferrari of Washington to take delivery of a 348 Spyder. He lives in D.C., is an introvert, not flashy aside from the car, into motorsports, and well-traveled. What watch is he wearing? $5,000. An Omega Speedmaster. That is your watch. Assuming it's $5,000 today. That watch was probably $2,000 in 1993. But you're wearing an Omega Speedmaster, sir. Assuming you don't need to go swimming in it, that is your watch. Motorsports, the Speedmaster before it was the Space Watch, was the one of the chronographs of choice of racing teams. And right within your budget, good history, quality item, lasts you a lifetime, not super flash, but watch nerds will go, I see what you're doing there. Ben Stahl says, any chance Road and Track does a driving event in Texas? They did one last year in and around Austin, including track time at COTA. So I don't know. I don't think they're doing it again this year. I wasn't part of it. Alanis King actually made the route, and Alana Shear drove on it as well. But I don't know if they're doing it again. They haven't asked me to do it. And what was the other half of that question? The criteria for making the criteria for locations, wherever I want to go. The ones that we're working on now, I chose.
The next one will be in Tahiti.
But I'm working on a Colorado one.
Oh, sick.
That's what
Roads
I want to
are so
do.
Good there.
And Smoky Mountains was I suggested that as well. I mean, the criteria, there needs to be a racetrack, there needs to be good roads, and there need to be hotels that are befitting of a luxury experience. I mean, those are pretty much your 3 requirements. Wow, Jeremiah Dicklesworth III. Is that your name? I hope so. Has a 2015 Alpina B6 and is looking to what comes next. I'm looking at an R8 V10, a Ferrari 458, a Vantage V12, or a 991 Turbo S. $100 to $2,000. Fizzy blend of Fizzy, Fun, and GT. Something with a good bit of theater. And love something oddball and rare. That's interesting. Okay. The other cars in my garage right now are a truck for a daily, a shitbox track car, and a supercharged Gen 2 Viper.
Whoa.
Boy,
This dude parties.
you sound like fun, brother. Well, so you've already got a front engine, very powerful car. You've got an Alpina B6. Oh, but he's trying to get rid of that. He's got a truck. V10 R8, 458, V12 Vantage, 991 Turbo S. All good choices. He's already got a front engine car, so I would say mid or rear, which eliminates the Vantage V12, even though that's a fantastic car.
I think 458.
458 would have excellent fizz.
It just depends on how tall he is. Like the R8, I think, has a little bit more room inside.
Yeah, 458's pretty good if you're tall.
Sounds amazing.
Pretty
good transmission. It's a Ferrari. Like it wins the theater contest out of the R8 and turbo and Ferrari category.
He said Turbo S. If he said GT3, touring manual or an RS, maybe that's a little more theater. I mean, also 100 to 200K, 718 Spyder with a Deman motor.
True.
You're in the range, and that's got all the fizz. But an R8 V10, especially if it's a manual, that's a great car. And if you get one at the lower end of that price range, you get the VF supercharger on there. Already familiar with supercharging.
Great,
so that
a great package. That
could be a theme. Supercharging could be a theme of this dude's garage.
You can't go wrong with either R8 or 458.
No.
It's almost like
excellent
decide
cars.
which transmission you want.
Yeah,
they're both great.
Excellent cars. Tough choice, but I'd say either the V10 R8, possibly supercharged, ideally manual, or the 458. Aaron Dyer says, quick thanks for, just a quick thank you. Ended up picking up a manual Golf R. Okay, nice, Aaron. Kurt Bergstedt, is there a recommended alignment setup for road courses? For example, Palmer Motorsport. Well, there are recommended alignment setups for each car.
Right, for different courses.
Yeah, and his example is 285 squared setup on a Mustang GT per our recommendation. The car handles way better.
Yeah.
If you're talking about a Mustang GT, going square stance does make it handle way better.
Yeah, but I would ask, if you're driving Palmer, ask people that if you can find someone that has the same car or the same tire width, at least with a front engine car that goes to Palmer. But honestly, it's car and course and almost also style of driving dependent.
Mm-hmm.
Some people might really like 3 degrees of negative camber in the front, and someone else might think that's too twitchy, and they like 2, and they could run the same time.
Also, how long do you want your tires to last?
Yep.
I mean, you run a lot of negative camber, you could burn off the inside of your tire pretty quick.
True.
It's a little too nerdy for me.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know. I'm sure you could call a race-focused alignment shop and get their recommendations, or call someone like Maximum Motorsports or Cortex and get their recommendations.
They might be able to look at the track map and go, you should probably run this. That's a good idea.
Yeah. David Zumot. Asking about Tom's DeMann GT4 and DeMann GT3. We kind of covered this already earlier in the show. I assume you asked this question before the show started. But the point is, do you think the cars are similar enough to where having both doesn't make sense? I think I hope I already covered it, but I think they are distinctly different cars. Especially because one is PDK and comfort oriented and is an excellent daily driver for where he lives. Great mate. I think is okay. Has a BMW M2 last gen, looking for a replacement. Love the car with a tune, looking for something different. Weekend spirited drives, occasional track days. Manual, rear wheel drive, 2-door. I prefer cars that are fun to throw around corners rather than cars that are large, powerful, and fast in a straight line. 8,000 miles a year, 100K, give or take. Leaning towards a 2016 GT4 or a 2020 GT4 if it's worth the extra money. Considering stretching the budget for a higher mileage 991.1 GT3, that's PDK only, or and likely to have a replaced engine also, maybe more than one, or possibly C7 Corvette or ZL1 Camaro. Okay. I would say a 718 GT4 is
GTS or something.
Yeah. I mean, that meets all your requirements, won't eat a ton of depreciation, fun to throw around corners, fast enough in a straight line, but straight line performance is not the focus. If you wanted to modify it, you could do the gears. You don't have to do the engine. You could do the gearing. It's about 15K, and technically it may affect your warranty technically, but the odds of any dealer finding out that you've done the gears are basically zero.
And plus, if your budget's 100, if you get a used like Cayman, the gearing's 15. I think you're still under budget, right?
Well, if you got a 16, you could probably get one for under 100K.
Yeah,
if
and then you get the gears done for 15,
if you wanted a 2020, which is a 718, the real difference with the 718 is you get the GT3 front suspension.
Yeah.
It's the same as the GT3 at the front.
Same as the 991 GT3, not the 992, right?
Yes,
yeah.
991 GT3.
Which is nice.
And the 4-liter engine is better. It's a better engine. I mean, Rick DeMann to not that you would do a Deman motor, but it's for him to make more power with the 4.5s that are based on the 3.8 versus the 4.5s that are based on the 4.0 make more power, not because Rick does different things. It's because Porsche made that engine better. So the engine is stronger in certain key places.
And plus, if you're not looking for, Great Mate says he's not looking for large, powerful. That's kind of what the ZL1 is. The ZL1 is a great Grand Touring car. I mean, if you get the 1LE version, then it's a track-ish car, but it is a really great straight-line AMG that comes with a Chevy badge. It's not what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think you should get a Porsche. Alternatively, a TTRS could be fun. Could be fast in a straight line if you want it to be.
True. Fun alternative
100K
choice.
also could get you a really nice R8 V8 with a stick. Early R8 V8 with a stick, which is quick but not blindingly fast in a straight line and very fun. Also, alternatively, you could get an air-cooled car. Get you a nice air-cooled car.
I would say coming from an M2, getting into the R8, because I drove that R8 a few months ago, and great car, comfortable, everything, but it will not feel as energetic as an M2 because the steering ratio is a little bit slower.
Sure.
It feels heavier even though it's not. Maybe you can get rid of that with some suspension, but
the Porsche
just won't feel as modern. Yeah, the Porsche is going to feel sharper.
Yeah. Light bias. Excuse me. What has the worst infotainment system? Lexus's outdated touchpad thing or the state-of-the-art new system in the SL?
Well, the SL system works more quickly, and it's a touchscreen, so it's more intuitive. I don't like the Lexus system because I'm using a trackpad. I'm moving my hand as if I'm using a touchpad, but the touchpad is not activating the actual screen. It's far more difficult to use, and I can't look at my hand while I'm driving. It's just not as good.
Yeah, it's tough. The system in the SL, if you take an hour when you first buy the car to set everything up the way you want it, this button does this. Because the problem is that a lot of buttons do multiple things. There's a few different pathways to any one thing. And so it's hard to change settings and stuff while you're driving because there's too many choices. So if you take the time to set it up how you want it once and then you leave it, you'd probably get used to it over time and it would be okay. If you ask me which one I prefer driving the Lexus. I love that Lexus.
No, I love the Lexus car.
Yeah,
I think the LC500
yeah,
is like
he's asking
greats.
about the
but
the
specifically
stereo.
infotainment, I'd rather use a touchpad. I'd rather use a touch screen, I should say, than a touchpad that's operating the screen.
Yeah, I agree. Oscar Negron, if you could have any dedicated track car, what could it be? What would you pick if you wanted to have fun on a track day versus chasing lap times? Let's assume assuming no budget.
Right.
If we assume no budget.
GT4 RS?
Yeah, GT4 RS is about as good as it gets. You know, Ferrari 458 Challenge.
Yeah, McLaren 620R.
Yeah,
you know, something
765 LT.
Something, like that.
If I was on a budget, the Spec E46 that I helped Bert buy for Tom, that car is not too fast, but has great balance, low consumables cost. It's very safe. It looks modern enough. It doesn't look like an old shitty car. It looks decent and has amazing balance, and you could drive it right at the limit and kind of dance it on that limit and have a really, really good time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's part of a class of race cars so that you could race other people either virtually or in person and have sort of an accurate thing to compare to.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
Yeah. Gunnar Ray, what's the split like on the Patreon and the Porsche champion? Oh, what percentage of people are champions? I don't know. Well, Zach will look that up while I go to Ivan's question. Has car journalism diluted in recent years from influencers, or are journalists like you are still separated from them? I've seen multiple review channels that look just like a paid ad with them reading the brochure, and I can't imagine putting them in the same class as you. Well, thank you very much, Ivan. That's nice of you. I think you as the audience member have to do a little more work if what you want is true journalism and not influencing. There's a lot of influencers. There's a lot of people that want to be journalists but are maybe afraid to be critical or don't have the experience to be critical or don't have the balls to be critical. And it has been diluted because a lot of manufacturers know that if it costs, making this number up, $10,000 to bring somebody on a press launch, the flight, the hotel, the food, the seat time in the car, whatever, am I going to bring someone that might criticize the product, or am I going to bring someone that has the same number of viewers or more and just says what we tell them to say? And in a lot of ways, I understand the automaker who does that because they've got a guaranteed positive, their message gets out as opposed to, Porsche flew me to Morocco and I ended the video going, I don't want one of these. It's, even though I think they probably thought we did a nice job with the video, I doubt that's the conclusion they wanted me to come away with.
Yeah, I think we've watched car companies realize there's value in both types of person and both types of content, but the ratio, like they can adjust the ratio. So if they want just straight specs delivered, they can bring these people, and then if they want criticism, they can bring these folks, and if they want promotion, they can bring or sometimes pay. I don't know who has received money for this. I just know that it happens. They can bring that whole mix, and they can decide what ratios they want in that soup for to get the product information out there.
Yeah.
Champions 8%.
8%. Mm-hmm. Pro driver still highest by a lot.
Yeah, by a huge margin.
Yeah. Wow. Let's see. Uraywan? Is that? I think that's the name. I think that's your name. Uraywan? I'm sorry if I fucked that up. I tried. I recently started working as a media person for an IMSA team, and I got the road racing bug, although I've been into drag racing before. Now I want to start going to track days in my Camaro SS. What advice would you give for a first track day? Listen to the instructors. Mm-hmm. Listen. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Anyone would be. It can be very intimidating, and so people are afraid to ask questions because they don't want to sound stupid. But ask questions, and even if that means not asking questions publicly in the driver's meeting, pull the head person aside and go, "Hey, it's my first time. How do I not fuck this up?" But listen to your instructors. Make sure your car is in good working order. Your battery is tied down correctly. Your tires are in good shape, and your pressures are right. It doesn't matter what kind of car you have. Just make sure all your stuff that could fly around is taken out of your car.
Take things out of your car, and you should probably do pads and fluid, at least brake fluid. If you're running stock fluid, you're probably going to boil it after a couple of laps, and that will change your day drastically. So, a couple $100 getting new brake fluid, that sets the car up. You don't need to modify anything else. You don't need to buy like sway bars or anything yet, but you just need that so that you can keep driving and extend your day, and then you'll learn more. Yeah.
If you can afford it. And it's start with clean oil. If you're going to get your brake fluid done, get an oil change. If you can afford it, get an oil change afterwards too. Before and after, that'll help. If you do your own oil, great. That'll make your life easier. Tap out. You don't necessarily have to get a brand new filter, but tap it out. Make sure it's clear of debris and stuff. You're going to be running your car.
Not oil filter.
What did I say?
You just said filter, and
I meant air filter.
Want to clarify.
Yeah, I meant air filter.
Yeah.
And also make sure that your seating position in the car is good. Have one of the guys on the team help you set your seat to the right position and your steering wheel to the right position for performance driving.
Absolutely.
Because it does make a difference. Yeah. Jake Shores, good alternate options for overlanding or light off-roader. Wait. Okay. Overlanding or light off-roading SUVs sub $20,000 or $25,000. Older Cayenne, V8 Pathfinder, Titan, Armada.
What's an Xterra cost these days?
I can't imagine it's that expensive.
That's a really solid off-roader. Yeah.
You
see those out and about. Grand Cherokees. You see those all over trails.
Yeah.
Like all modified, whatever, not modified, and they're not that expensive.
Yeah, Grand Cherokee and Xterra, I think, are both good options. What else would be? First gen Cayennes do pretty well. They don't all have the transfer case. I think it's only. I don't know if the S's do. The turbos definitely do with the right wheels. I don't know if the S's do, but Xterra and Grand Cherokee are really
for under 20,
under 25K. Yeah. They're where it's at.
We've seen everything on the trails, but you see a lot of Jeep for a reason, and I see more and more Xterras around, and they're holding up pretty well.
Jack Riley plans to go back on Rogan. Not at the moment. You have to be invited.
Yeah,
I don't ask to go on. That's a thing you don't do. You have to be invited. Jordan Hodis, we all know braking is important, but it's usually more fun to talk about power and speed. When did you guys start to really appreciate braking? Is there a car that first wowed you with its brakes? And what current car's brakes impressed you the most? Good question, and it is a very important thing. I always, power for show, the golf metaphor, drive for show, putt for dough, works on a racetrack too. Power for show and brakes for dough. Because a lot of races are won in the brake zone.
Yeah.
And when you see, from the GT3 to the GT3 RS Porsche, a lot of that difference is not power. It's aero and braking. So more stability in the corners and better braking performance that translates into much, much better lap times. I started to appreciate braking the very first time I went to a track day and boiled the brake fluid in 2 seconds. And I was like, we need better this.
You asked everybody, are you also boiling your fluid in 2 laps? They said no. And you went, okay.
Usually you appreciate braking the second you don't have it anymore.
Yes, you do. That's a very good point, yeah. And then if you drive a car that has good braking, you went, oh, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't remember the first time I was really wowed with brakes. But that's a tough one. It doesn't. I can't think right now of of the first time I drove a supercar where it was like, oh, the brake. Certainly the Koenigsegg Agera RS, where the guy went, go 200 miles an hour, take your hands off the steering wheel and stand on the brake pedal. And that was the craziest thing I've ever done to that point, and I couldn't believe I actually did it. The car stayed perfectly straight, and it was amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty rad.
It was wild. But I think it was more like the first time I ever drove like a race car, like a Miata or something, or it was either E30 or Miata that had like regular small steel brakes, not giant ceramics, but they lasted for a 24-hour race and didn't turn to mush. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh, you don't need a supercar to have great brakes. It's just like the right pad and fluid, you know.
Like, I mean, when we did the Lemons race, that was like 2015 or something, and in this, the car held up really well. And we'd driven other press cars before that had carbon ceramics or huge, you know, vented whatever discs. But that's just like, it's a normal car, and there's braking technology that can make a, quote, normal car stop really well and last on a track.
Over and over and over and over and over and over. And so that was really where I was like, oh, it's not necessarily just the size of the brake or the size of the caliper, but like the pad and fluid compound that can last for 1,000 stops before going back.
I feel like I noticed it going from my Miata to Crown Vic only because I realized how much braking distances can change how you have to drive. Like driving in a canyon, I can't brake as late as I could, which now I'm lagging behind the group or whatever. And then of course press cars that had better modern braking systems, I'd compare them to my cars that I'd owned and go, well, wow, these grip much better and the pedal pressure is different and all these other things. And that's kind of how you just compare, you know, your experiences to your next experience.
Right.
That's where you learn.
Right. Chris Navio would love another versus video with Cayman GTS versus Amira. We did Cayman GTS versus Corvette Z51. So we didn't get a chance to get the Amira at the same time in order to do all three. So what you will see is Cayman GTS versus Corvette Z51. And then in our Amira video, we will reference those other two cars. So you will get a comparison, even though it'll be over the course of two videos. The logistics were not possible, but we do our best. Andrew N. says, where are all of the electric convertibles? I'm surprised not to see any production drop-top EVs. Is there a technical reason, or are convertibles going the way of the sedan and the big coupe and there's no market? That is an interesting question. There could be a couple things going on. One is the aerodynamics of a convertible are not very good, especially when the top is down, could heavily affect range, and that may not be something that manufacturers want to deal with. Two could be that the weight, you know, convertibles are usually the heavier model, and then the weight of a battery would add to that, and there may be some structure issues as well.
We also haven't seen a lot of money get put into electric coupes, period. And the coupes are usually built off of, the convertibles tend to be built off of coupes.
Yeah.
So the money right now has gone to sedans or crossovers because that's what people are buying. So it's like you're asking about a small market, and are they going to make it a little bit smaller?
Well, we know that there's going to be an electric Boxster. We've seen the mules. Mm-hmm. We know there's going to be an electric Rolls Royce.
For sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
There'll definitely be an electric Bentley. And I realize these are not like cars of the people. These are expensive-ass cars, and they're certainly not for everybody.
I think it's a good point, though. I think that's when you will see electric convertibles come out, when we have these electric luxury coupes, and then they can chop the top. Because the convertibles are probably a big market of like a Bentley GT, Continental GT, right? I'm sure the percentage of convertibles they sell is pretty high compared to something else. Yeah,
Bentley's, I agree. Their percentage of GTCs versus the production is probably approaching 50%. Same for the Rolls Dawn versus the Wraith. It's probably 50-50 Dawn Wraith. I don't know the percentage of Mustang convertibles, but I guarantee you an enormous percentage of the Mustang convertibles that are sold are rentals, and those are not going to be electric anytime soon. Okay, Brian with a Y. Your BMW X3M Competition video was from before you started adding the important questions to answer at the top of the films. I'm considering an X3M Competition and was curious, if you made that video today, what would the important questions to answer be? That's interesting. Zach, what do you think?
Sorry, I was pasting one more question.
Okay, if we had the X3M competition today and we were making a video, what would our important questions to be?
Is it too stiff to be a daily?
That's a good
to
one.
To be a comfortable crossover, or a usable crossover, I should say.
Would we rather have one versus an M3?
Yeah.
And would we rather have one versus a Macan GTS?
Of course.
And I think, is it too stiff to be a daily? Maybe. If the roads are bad.
I mean, it's a lifted GTR. It is real fun.
It was fast.
It's very fast. But like, if you think you're going to use it for any kind of logging road, taking yourself mountain biking or whatever, like it's a bumpy ride. You know, it's a sports sedan with a backpack, really.
Do you like it better than the M3? It's better looking.
It is
definitely better looking.
A couple years ago, but it is better looking.
And it's just as fast without a stopwatch. It's just as fast.
If I needed a daily driver, that's so hard because it honestly rides so stiff. It's compromised in that way.
Yeah.
Like it's slightly more usable. Actually, I would rather have the M3 because I think they're both stiff, and the M3 is tall enough to get up the same things the X3 Comp could get up. So I'd probably go M3.
Would you rather have one versus a Macan GTS? I'd rather have the Macan GTS.
I'd have to drive them back to back.
If I wanted a crossover, the Macan is a better crossover. It has a better ride,
yes.
I think. The X3M is a little quicker and would probably beat it in a drag race, but the Macan GTS is still quick.
Very quick, yeah. Really good car. I'd have to drive them back to back, honestly. That was a couple years ago.
Good question, though.
Yeah.
Gerard O'Mara for two more. Gerard O'Mara, for a daily driver application, is the price premium of the M2 Comp worth it over the regular M2? Looking for a DCT. I think the Comp is worse than the regular M2. It's stiffer. The regular M2 was great. The CS was great. The Comp was just stiff. It didn't do it for me. So I would say probably not. We are getting the new M2 tomorrow.
Yeah.
We will have a review of that very, very soon. And Nick says, okay, I have 2 cars reserved. One is...
Sorry,
wait, what?
I don't know why that's there.
I have 2 cars reserved. One is a Lexus IS500 and another on a lightly optioned CT5-V Blackwing manual. Both are MSRP. I can afford the Blackwing, but it would be a stretch, and I would have to consolidate down to one car. You have to sell both his other cars. The IS500 would leave room for a second Miata-esque vehicle. Am I insane for considering passing up a Blackwing for a more boring car that allows for more variety, or should I just go for it? I do not commute. The car is only for me, no family. The vehicles are just for fun, errands, and occasional track use.
And he already has a 2017 Chevy SS and an IS300, but that one is so old. I mean, if you like your SS, you're getting a faster SS with like the newest chassis and a supercharger on top.
Yeah,
that's what
it's way faster.
It's way faster, but like the CT, it is the evolution, I think, of something he likes.
Yeah,
the CT5.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a question you have to ask yourself. Do you want 2 distinct cars for 2 distinct experiences, or do you want one well-rounded car for everything? The IS500 is not a track day car.
Right.
It's a cool, comfortable cruiser with a great motor. That's what it is. It can do a canyon. It could survive a track day if you took it to one, but it will not excel at that. The Blackwing can do everything. It can be a daily, it can be a track car, it can be a canyon car. But if you want a second sporty vehicle that's a different experience because you know you're going to want to have a different experience once in a while, then you might want to find a way to have that other experience.
I mean, it's tough because I don't know where you live. So he says running errands. My brain goes to, if you spend the majority of your time running errands, like, is a manual supercharged Cadillac going to make you happy, or is it just going to eat gas and you're not going very fast and you're just kind of like, oh, this car's not really as comfortable as the IS500 is? It'll probably retain its value a little better.
It is as comfortable as an IS500.
It's as comfortable, but it's not automatic. It's
Yeah.
not automatic, and it's going to get worse gas mileage. Like, are you going to be compromising that car too often? I don't know. It totally depends on where you live, because that car is amazing. It can do fucking everything. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
And people will pay more attention to it. Like the IS500 is very cool and is the last of like an era, but I think the Blackwing with a manual is just going to keep people's attention for years to come.
Yeah. I think the Blackwing is a better buy.
Smarter buy.
Yeah. And you can it can dance if you want it to dance. The IS500 is not really that. I love that engine, but it's not really that. I'd probably get the Blackwing. And the good news is if you get it, you keep it for a year, you don't like it, you get your money back.
Yeah, exactly.
They're tough to come by. They're not making a lot of them. They're going to hold their value well. The IS probably will as well, but I'd say get the Blackwing.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
And then get a really cheap, shitty Miata after like a year.
Yeah, definitely. All right. That's our crew show. Thank you all for joining us. That was a bit of a long one. I appreciate everybody being with us this week. We're going to have another crew show this week because we had 2 guest shows last week, and you know how it goes. But I got a lot of other topics in the blue notebook that I didn't get to. Have a good night. See you later.